Hello guys, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the switch statement in Arduino IDE. And so here is the switch statement right here. And so basically I want to go ahead and tell you what a switch statement is. A switch statement is kind of just like an if statement in a way, but there's more than one if statement. So sometimes you may have multiple if statements all lined up. So for example, you may say if num is 2, then go into this if statement. If num is 3, then go into this if statement. If num is 4, go into this if statement. You don't have to do that. You don't have to have if one if statement after another for one single variable. And so what we can do is we can use the switch statement to see if a variable is multiple things, like to see if it's 1, 2, or 3, to individually see if it's equal to one of these values. So that's what a switch statement does. It's kind of like an if statement in a way, but there's like more than one if statement for one variable. So up here we do int num equals 1. This is going to help us so that we can use the switch statement. As you can see right here, this is going to be the variable that we're going to test and do things with based on what value it holds. Okay, and then in the void setup we have serial.begin with 9600 baud rate. This is going to help us be able to print things out on the serial monitor to see what this switch statement does. Okay, so now I'm going to the void loop. We'll go ahead and start doing things with this switch statement. So basically what the switch statement is going to be doing is num is going to be incrementing right here. Down here, see we increment it. So every single time we loop this void loop, num will be incremented. Depending on if num equals 1, 2, or 3, it will print out what it is. So it will print out if it's 1, then it will print out num is 1. If it's 2, then it's going to print out num is 2. If it's 3, then it's going to print out num is 3. So what we do here is the first thing how we define a switch statement is we say switch and num. This is going to be the variable that we're going to be testing or seeing if it's one of these values. Then we come in here and say case. So this is our first case, 1. So basically we're saying if num equals 1, because we put this variable right here. This is the variable we're using with the switch statement. In case this case are all in the switch statement. So any number or any value you put next to the case statement, it's going to be looking and seeing if this value equals to num. So that's what that does. And if this is true, then we're going to come into this case statement. You can have lots of code in here in this case statement, not just one. You can have so much code in this case statement, and after you've done, then you break out of the case statement. But if this is not true, if one's not true, then it's going to skip that. It's going to move on and check this case statement, which is 2. So if num equals 2, then it's going to print num is 2 on a serial monitor, and then again we're going to break out. And then if this is not true, then it's going to move on. It's going to come in here if num is equal to 3. And so if num is equal to 3, then it's going to do serial.print num is 3. And then it's going to break out of it. So that's ultimately what that's doing here. And you can have so many of these case statements. It doesn't matter how many you can have. You can have so many of them, not just 3. You can have lots. And then we have a default. So basically, if none of these are true, then we're going to come into here. Okay, so it's kind of like the else statement for the if statement, but it's called default. So ultimately, when it's going to come in here is when num is equal to 4. And so it's never going to be, num is never going to be 0. Okay, so it's going to have to be 4 whenever it comes into this default statement. And we don't want to go count it to 4. We want to start all over. So we make num equal to 0. And one thing I forgot is to put the break statement in here. But now we have break. And so there we go. Now you can properly break out of the default statement and move on to the rest of the things. But ultimately, after it comes out of this default statement, it's gonna come out of the switch statement in all overall. Okay, so after it's done with all these right here, then it's gonna get out of the switch statement and continue going on to the rest of the code, which is then to increment num. Okay, so once it comes back into the switch statement, a num will be already incremented, so it will be already 1. So num will never be 0 whenever we come into this switch statement. Okay, and then we just wait a half a second, so it's not going too fast for us. And this will just continue looping the code, and we'll continue counting to 1, 2, and 3. And starting over, and it's going to continue doing that over and over again. So let's go ahead and see our code. If it does that, then we know that the switch statement is working. Okay, so now we can go ahead and upload our code. Okay, so there we go. Code's uploaded, and now I'll go ahead and go to the serial monitor. And as you can see, num is 1, num is 2, num is 3, and it's going to keep on going and starting out over and over again. So anyways, guys, if you like this video, consider giving this video a like. Comment down below if you have any questions, and consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all, and have a great day. Bye.